Hey, good people, this is your NI Dom back with another YouTube reflection. And this is a personal journal for contemplative people looking to think, grow, and have impact in the world. So, hey, I am in the process of trying to respond to con- some podcast content that has left me feeling really uncomfortable. And, but because the content is from a project that has been um, fulfilling, rewarding, affirming, all of these positives, I wasn't able to just jump in this reflection and just talk about the icky. And so I'm now doing a part two. Part one, I set it up and I want to do a little more setup in part two before I get into the icky, okay? But I'm going to do something that I did not do in part one, and that's to give my disclaimers. That's really important. If you're new to this project, this is a personal journal where I process my inner and my outer worlds. I do so by using personality theory. Two theories that I use the most are the Myers-Briggs and the Enneagram, pushing those two systems together. I identify as an INTJ8. I have a number of other disclaimers that share on the long form podcast, Your NI Down. But for now, for the short form reflections on YouTube, all I want you to know is that this project is unedited and is unscripted. To know more about it or me, feel free to go to my website at yournidown.wordpress.com. So it really is important that you all know that this is unedited, is unscripted. And so this is not a polished podcast. It's just not, it's a journal where I make sense. I've already said it, but I'm going to say it again, where I make sense of my inner and my outer worlds. And I just listened to, I have about two episodes. I listened to this season 14 on the podcast called Something Was Wrong. And it's about, I'm not going to give the name of the person, but it's about a man who was physically, financially, sexually, psychologically abusive to a lot of people. And so that whole season is about unco telling that story, and I've been invested in it, um, from the beginning. I will say that, and if you listen to part 1, you'll hear me talking about how this project has been just has been a resource for me. So I have mostly positive things to say about it, and even, I did a podcast episode about season 1. I'm now going to respond to season 14, but season 1, I did a response and I titled it on the podcast. I entitled it as Something Was Wrong. And I just offered a little criticism at the end. That's what I mean. I'm an INTJ. We are going to do that. Um, and I've been listening to all the seasons. Like I'm up to season 14, right? So I've been just dedicated to the project. And throughout, I've been wanting to Oh my God, there's just so many things I've been wanting to respond to on a positive level that I feel a little guilty that I didn't respond to the positive, and yet here again I'm going to make a critical um, response. So I don't like that, but I want to be really honest. Okay, sometimes negative we're motivated more by negativity than we are by positivity, and as an INTJ 8, I think that I can that makes sense that I would be more inclined to respond to um, what I want to say because I feel like it's a justice issue. Okay, so where I ended off in part one, it was I was like trying to make the case. I was still trying to make the case. I really appreciate this podcast. Tried to tell my sister yesterday, hey, you should get on the show because you have a story, and I didn't get a chance to tell her this, but what a lot of the women on that podcast say is that when you tell that story, it's healing for you. It's like to go back and it's just cathartic. And I think that my sister would benefit from having that experience. I also think her story is interesting. And then I think the third thing is that I think that the podcast isn't diverse enough. I love the fact I believe that show. I'm listening to two podcasts that are similar. I believe they had a man on there. I don't know, but I do know that they're not just dealing with straight women, like they're dealing with queer women and Um, so there is some diversity, but I don't believe there's enough uh, racial diversity to really capture the black female experience as much as it's capturing the white female experience. It's okay. I mean, like, that's not my show, right? I think the girl's name is Tiffany, who's the host. She'd be like, if you want the black female experience, go do your own damn show, right? She would have every right to say that. But that's just my feedback. So I was like telling my sister, I think you should get on the show. Well, yeah, that was yesterday. And also yesterday, I was talking to my white female friend, one of them, because I don't have just one white female friend, by the way. She's a really good friend of mine. I consider her like a spiritual sister, but we live completely different lives. And she is more traditional. She's married to a man, and he manages all finances. He manages the house, he manages everything. And she's treated like a princess, and he takes good care of her. And I'm like, that's beautiful. And one time she made the comment, there are only two times I don't think she gets how I live my life as a black, excuse me, African American woman who identifies as being unconventional, and I live a fairly unconventional solo lifestyle. And so one thing that she said that told me that she really didn't get it, out of everything that we've shared, I've never felt like she didn't get it. But I don't think she understands how I'm living as a solo person. The first thing she said is, you don't like, I think she said something to the effect, you don't like to be dependent on men. I don't think she said you don't like men. I think she said you don't want to be dependent. You don't want a man to, you want to, no, 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 this is what she said. You want to take the lead. You want to be the dominant one. I said, that's so not true. Not at all. Because it takes a lot of labor to be the dominant one. But I don't want to be dominated. And I believe power, I study power. And when somebody takes care of you, that is an aspect of power over you. So I would never want to give up my power to that extent. I personally would not want to do that. But I'm okay with how she's in her relationship, but I want to make sure that she supports me in my relationship. And not many of my friends just don't. They don't get it. And I've got to do a better job at meeting other women who are like me. Because it feels very lonely when people don't understand. Like, no, it's not that I want to be I don't want to, I do not want to be the dominant one over a man. Like, no. Um, and so that was one misunderstanding. And then recently, within the last 2 years, she was like, and I've been knowing her for about 20 years. She was like, um, you must be, you must be really lonely. I'm like, no, I don't know, not at all. As a matter of fact, the only time I actually feel loneliness is on holidays, and not all holidays, because I'm fairly estranged from my family, or I don't have the relationship with my family that I used to. So holidays make me feel that separation. But no, mm-mm. So because I'm not living this conventional life, I don't think she fully gets that, and I think that's a good segue to get back into talking about the podcast. Now, I'm not saying these women on that podcast wouldn't understand me living a solo life. I don't. I I think it was one of the episodes said this particular season 14, where all of these women are coming out who've dated this one guy, and had these horrible experiences with him. I think one of the women said, well, one thing about him, he had good taste in women, because women are pretty badass. And I would say the same thing, like listening to them talk about their careers, and like it just I would love to meet those women, right? So I wouldn't, but I haven't listened to any woman on that podcast that share my sensibilities. my emotionality. So a lot of the emotionality I cannot relate to. Pretty similar to how my friend can't really relate to how I'm living a solo-ish lifestyle, a lifestyle where I'm responsible for myself and I enjoy that. And I've been in 2 10-year relationships where there was like a joint, you know what I mean? Like there's this shared power. And it's I don't know, I don't know why my friend wasn't able to factor that in. I personally think it's just a judgment. It's just a judgment of me living differently than she lives. But in any other area, I feel like she gets it. So I do feel like it. So anyway, um, so I'm gonna leave it at that. Um, I was gonna think I got two other white female friends that I was like maybe I should share the podcast with them and see how they respond. Like, what do they think about the emotionality of the women? But those women are married to black men, and so they are either adjacent to black culture. They're not black presenting because I don't do that. That's a separate conversation. I'm not attracted to white people who are black presenting. I'm not mad about it. I'm not drawn to that, okay? Um, and I don't think I've ever turned a friendship down with to a white person who was black presenting. I just think I just have never attracted that to me. So they're not white, they're not black presenting, but they're black adjacent. They have they have access to black culture, some or black concerns, so that when I'm talking from my black body, there's a bridge for them to understand. So I don't know if I would be able to send this. I don't know. I'm going to do it now. I'm going to send the podcast to them and say, "Hey, what do you think about?" I'm not even going to prep them about the emotionality. Like, what do you think about? What do you think about it? And just see what they say. Um, And I could similarly do send it to a few of my black friends and say, "What do you think about it?" Right? Because my reaction to it could just be strictly my experience, and I do think it's important to factor in. I'm an INTJ 8, and um, I'm a trained and practicing social scientist and educator of 30 years. Half of that time has been in leadership. That's part of my disclaimers that I took out, but I do think it gives nuance as to why I experience the world the way I do. Um, so I think I'm ready to talk about the icky feeling of the episode I just listened to from season 14, and so I'm gonna break here. So in this particular episode, I think I was talking a little bit more about me. Excuse me, in this particular reflection, because I'm now one of the things I hate about YouTube and 15. I got to do these 15-minute increments, and now I got to like highlight what did I say in this 15 minutes as to the overall conversation. But I think in this particular, excuse me, this particular installment, I was talking more about the racial aspect of my listenership and my perspective. And I think that's a good way to frame it. And whereas part one, I was talking more about what I like, and part two, I'm talking about the racial aspect of it. And then I'm going to go ahead and go into next. I'm going to start talking about what made me feel icky. All right. You guys, if this reflection has had any value for you, please give it a heart thumbs up or a like. Please share it to like-minded people. I'm looking for like-minded people. I'm not going to give an assignment. Please stick around to part three, okay? It's been a pleasure hanging out with you. Oh, come to my website, yourinidom.wordpress.com. It's been a pleasure hanging out with you until I come back. Be well. Bye.